All right, look, I know some of you don't care about sports ball. You'd rather not think about how to make a touchdown on the court while skating a base hit. But I'm here to tell you that there's some cool technology ending up inside footballs at this season's NFL preseason. Joining us to help get us ready for some football is Kurt Wagner from Recode. How's it going, Kurt?
Hey, that was quite the intro right there.
Well, you know, I spend at least 3 hours crafting that masterwork.
That was something. That was something.
Maybe not, but I probably should have and come up with something better. So what exactly is the NFL putting inside these footballs?
Yeah, the NFL is testing some sensor technology. So these little, they're like about a quarter size. So they're pretty small. They're very lightweight. I'm not exactly sure how heavy, but can't be more than an ounce or two. And they're putting these sensors inside the footballs for all of the preseason games. For those of you who aren't sports ball fans, there are 4 preseason games that are happening right now before the regular NFL season kicks off in just a few weeks. And essentially what they're, I'm sitting in a room and all the lights turned off. Essentially what they're doing is, trying to gather in-game data, right? So like how far are these balls being thrown, how fast, what's the acceleration, all that stuff. And they're hoping to use it for broadcasts and also to give back to the teams so that the teams can, just kind of know more about what's happening on the field and hopefully use it for training or other purposes.
Yeah, I mean, they're already collecting so much data. I mean, sports and statistics kind of go hand in hand. I feel like we're entering this very interesting world right now where technology and statistics are coming together to make sports even more statistically deranged to the point to where you can get so into the minutia that it's just kind of blows you away. I have to imagine, though, that this is really beneficial to how teams craft their games, right?
Well, that's what you'd like to think. I think you bring up a good point, which is that like all of this data really only matters if you have something to do with it, right? Simply collecting it and just letting it sit on a hard drive or in a file, unless you have reason for collecting it, doesn't do a whole lot. But I think, what we've seen from the NFL so far, they've just started also collecting actual player data. So they're the same company that puts the sensors in these footballs. Is also putting sensors in players' shoulder pads and has been for the last couple of seasons. And, I guess you could imagine if you get to, you have a game on Sunday, you get to practice on Monday, and you look and say, oh, wow, we didn't realize Kurt, he ran twice as much as everyone else on the team, or he really was exerting, more energy or less energy or whatever. That could change how you train, how you recover. So I don't necessarily know if the football data is going to help like with player safety and player injuries. But you could see how just collecting this stuff more broadly, there's a lot of different use cases for it. And the league is all, everyone's going to be looking for an upper hand. I mean, this is a huge business. And so if you can collect it, you should collect it is kind of the mindset and then figure out what to do with it maybe a little later.
What exactly in the ball itself, what kind of data is being collected here?
Yeah, so it's going to be, basically I've been told to think of these sensors as kind of like a GPS. So anything location related, which means distance, velocity, acceleration, all of that kind of stuff. And I would think for the footballs themselves, I want to reiterate that at this point, the NFL is only using them for the preseason. They could use them for the regular season this year. The league has not yet decided if they're going to. The NFL, like most big, companies and organizations, they like to do a test, look at all the results, see, is this something we should carry over? I imagine eventually they will get there, whether it's this season or next season. I don't fully know. But yeah, most of this is like GPS related stuff. And so that's what you'd be able to find.
So if I stole one of these footballs, they would be able to track me down wherever I went.
They would hunt you down. Yeah, I'm sure. Although if we're talking for real, no, they wouldn't be able to hunt you down because once the sensors get out of a certain radius, they're no longer, the way they work is the stadiums have these little receivers all throughout the stadium, like these little square dishes, I guess, and they will ping the sensors and get the data. So I guess once you got out of the range of the receivers, you'd probably be safe. But yeah, they might hunt you down if you're inside the stadium.
I have to imagine when you're talking NFL or pretty much any major league, sport, these game balls, the balls that they're actually playing with are intensely regulated down to the point of how much they're inflated and all this kind of stuff, the size, all that stuff. Does this interfere at all with that? I mean, it's, inserting something new into a ball that you normally would not do.
Right. I mean, that's I pointed out in my article is like the NFL is as hyper focused about what goes inside of these footballs as you would imagine, given obviously the Deflategate thing. For those of you who aren't football fans, there was an issue a couple of seasons ago about the Patriots and potentially letting some air out of the footballs to make them, easier to catch and throw and all that stuff. These sensors don't measure air pressure, which I find fascinating because that seems like an obvious thing to measure, especially given this Deflategate issue that we've seen. But yeah, I think like obviously that's why this is a test period, right? Like that's why they're using it for preseason. They haven't approved it for the regular season yet, and we'll see if they do. And I think the point of all this is just to make it equal to everybody, right? So whether or not they add these sensors or they don't, as long as everyone's using the same football with the same sensors inside, I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, they're so lightweight, you can barely even tell you're holding them. But yeah, the NFL is hypersensitive to what goes inside these footballs, as we've learned, and so they're definitely putting a lot of thought into this.
My final question, because I feel like this is a no-brainer. I mean, air pressure, yes, that makes sense. What about a camera inside the football? Make that happen. I want to see POV of the football flying through the air.
I was going to say, what do you got? Well, you wouldn't want it inside the football. Then what are you going to look at? You need the camera. You need the GoPro football camera, right?
Yeah. Like looking out of the end of the ball on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That might make you a little sick. You should do that in VR and see how long you last before you have to run to the bathroom. But
that's
yeah, we'll see. I'm sure we only are seeing more and more of this stuff, not less and less. So it's probably only a matter of time.
For sure. All right, Kurt Wagner, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure getting you on. Tell people where they can follow your work.
Yes, please, at recode.net or at KurtWagner8 on Twitter. We do a lot of great stuff. Come check it out. Thank you, guys.
You absolutely do. All right, have a good night.